if I was 25, I would be obsessed with Zohran. When I was 25, I was actually 26, 27. I helped get AOC elected.
Hey, Lucy, I hear you're doing a video on the Green New Deal, and I'm thrilled.
I met her a ton of times, and I was a huge AOC person. Now I'm 35, and like every stereotypical person, I've grown up.
So many people have left the left. I was the biggest leftist ever.
I'm here to help you learn these climate buzzwords.
And I don't think my ideologies now are that so crazy. Just even calling out socialism isn't a good idea, I'm getting unfollows and blocks and people telling me that I'm a piece of shit.
What do you think that reaction is right now? Before we get into the Zohran of it all, I want you to take me back to that AOC shoot. Quick tangent. Obviously, that shoot was at Now This, and I got started in DC at Daily Caller working for Tucker. And my job was to help start their video department. If you guys' video weren't around, I probably would not have any inspiration to get into the video space for politics and all of that. So I'm guessing in part, thank you. But to my question, during that shoot with AOC, what was the realization that, holy shit, she's someone different? And part two of the question, while Zohran was coming up and his videos were everywhere, did that same thought go back into your head like, okay, this is kind of similar. I've seen this before.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for having me on, by the way.
Yeah.
I love that Now This is such an inspo. It's such a 2010s callback. You know, the text on screen.
Yeah.
I was like there.
Those yellow fonts.
Manually putting in all the subtitles.
Oh my God, because Premiere did not have those auto subtitles back then.
So many hours lost to that. Yeah, so I worked at Now This from 2015 to 2021. So I started when I was 25. I had come from a local news station in Mississippi. Nice. So when I came to Now This, I was like, oh my God, this is like progressive Mecca. Like it was racially diverse. Everyone was so cool. Like, you know, just really interesting backgrounds. Everybody was like Bernie bros. You know, Trump obviously won in 2016 and we all lost our minds. And then there was a huge push after that to take back the House. And I went to this nonprofit event called Arena where they were putting up candidates to challenge the Republicans and basically to take back the House. And one of the candidates at this party was Alyssa Slotkin, who's now a senator, ironically. So I met her the same night I met AOC. And I met AOC and a few other people. I think there was only two that ended up winning. And it was like a Soho loft house. So and cliched. I'm 27. There was like charcuterie and like wine in a box. Yeah. And there was not very many people there. And afterwards, I hung around to like meet the candidates, and I wanted to get their numbers because I was like, this could be a Now This video. This is right up our alley. And AOC just stuck out to me. She has a really great charisma. She's a great smile. She's so authentic. She's humble. All the things that I think come across that people really like about her, I immediately saw. So I invited her in for a shoot, and she ended up coming in about 2 months later. The funny thing is, she ended up blowing up and everyone in her office was freaking out when she got elected. But I have to say, when I brought her past like all the people who would then become AOC heads, I was like, hey guys, this is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's running for Congress. And they're all like, hi. Did not care. Nobody cared. Except for I saw something in her from talking to her. So we had this 1.5-hour shoot and me and the other girl running the shoot who was a friend, she was behind the camera and we were just like enamored with her by the end. Just so authentic, talking in the same way that Bernie spoke. And you see that now they're on tour together. It's a very happy marriage between them. You know, free college, sort of these vague statements about real estate developers being evil and working class people, POCs. She's like, we've never had a POC represent us in the Bronx, all the stuff that we loved. And so it was just a no-brainer. She felt authentic and young. And then, yeah, the reason I even like did this viral video that has now blown up is because we started talking about it in the office, the parallels between AOC and Mamdani, because Mamdani is very social media savvy and AOC was that back in the day, but it was like text on screen.
I was thinking about this because if you think about what was AOC's format, right? It was primarily going live on Instagram.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And she got huge on Instagram.
And Zohran's format, that's first video of him doing man on the street in immigrant neighborhoods, right, asking people, why did you vote for Trump? In both cases, there's this similarity of turning the art of listening into content itself. Do you think there's anything to that?
Yeah,
that I'm willing to listen to my constituents.
It's very populist. Yeah, I think the thing about AOC and Mamdani, what they have going for them is they really believe in what they're saying. I think what's happened right now with the Democrats is the Democratic establishment, like the Cuomos of the world, like what do they stand for? We don't know because they've sort of been like lobotomized by like cancel culture. And so they aren't socialists, obviously, but they're too afraid to come out and actually like say that they're not, or say some of these more zany leftist ideas aren't good ideas. And so they are just elites, kind of like Republican lights. Like, I don't know. Obviously, the Democrats don't want that.
Yeah.
But there's no vision coming out of that side other than socialism. I mean, the ideas are really bad. Like $30 minimum wage, government-run grocery stores. Like, it's just so easy to say, and it just hooks into that young person who is more driven by emotions than rationality, and they want to make a difference. And I think they just break through.
Speaking of
They're authentic.
Young person, like, how do you see your own timeline and your own, like, let's call it character arc?
Yeah. So
during this whole time?
My character arc.
Yeah.
I'm 35,
Yeah.
which I feel like I get a lot of feedback that I look a lot younger than that. I don't know.
You do, yeah.
Well, you're younger than me, but people will be shocked.
Yeah.
Not to toot my own horn. No. So I'm 35. I have 2 kids.
Okay.
I think for me, I always had misgivings about some of the more really leftist stuff that was coming in the 2010s, like the oppressor-oppressed mindset, which they call like cultural Marxism, where they all of a sudden were pushing white privilege. You know, if you're white, you just need to stay in the back and just don't talk. You don't know what you don't know. You're actually racist, so be quiet. So that stuff started to creep in my mid to late 20s when I was at Now This. And internally, I kind of always was like, I don't like this. It doesn't resonate with me. I thought we were going for free college.
Yeah.
I thought we were kind of trying to fight inequality. And now we're talking about how I shouldn't speak because I'm cis and white privileged.
Yeah.
The only oppressor quality I had going for me was I was a woman.
Yeah.
So
That's one checkbox.
yeah, I was like, come on, guys, anything else? And so I always felt like I had secret feelings, secret opinions, and then I had like a public persona that was almost based off of trying to get approval from the group.
Yeah.
And then I think with COVID, like a lot of people, you have that internal time. I think for a lot of people, you start to really examine the systems, the media system, the misinformation that was happening then. And then also having kids and just realizing like, wow, what am I pushing? What am I standing for? Is this the stuff that I actually think would make the world a better place for my kids? And obviously not. And I was also a climate influencer. I don't know if you saw that on my page as well.
Yeah.
So like that for me was even more of an identity for me than being like a leftist. I guess it's all connected. And so I was really pushing things like no single-use plastic and that we were all going to die from climate change. And now I'm like, wait, I don't think that's true. Like I have diapers I'm changing, you know? It was like the rubber hit the road.
What do you think is the play of the doomsday narrative? Because there is like a nihilistic aspect here, be that climate, be that the rich people, be that the business are bad. Because the common denominator there is that there is this nihilistic doomsday aspect. Yeah. And I don't know if you read this email from Peter Thiel, which he sent back in 2020 to Mark Andreessen and to the whole Facebook squad.
Did he like predict the future?
Not predict the future, but he was saying that, I'm paraphrasing, I'm not a socialist, but I don't blame the kids for being socialists because they don't have a stake in quote unquote American capitalism. Vis-a-vis, they don't own a house, a land. They don't feel like they're bought in.
Right.
So they kind of sort of want to burn it all down to the ground and then start over. And maybe then and only then they have a shot at the quote unquote American dream.
Yeah. No, that's so true. And I think I hate that there's so much nihilism because it's so sad. I feel like it's illusion, and it's almost like, where does it lead you? Where if you stay in that mindset, it's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like you hate the system, so you don't succeed in the system. And so the system sucks. Yeah. And then like you see someone like me and I'm like, wait a minute, this system's actually good. I'm now going to think of the system and how I can work the system. How could I be successful? How could I one day be having a business maybe, and I could be hiring people and I could be creating jobs and I could be creating wealth for my family. And so now I'm really bought into the system. But when you're still in that nihilistic perspective, you're looking over at someone like me and be like, well, she's a sellout. She just sold out to this system that doesn't work. And it's like, well, if you're stuck in that forever, you're stuck in that forever. And I think what also doesn't help is that these progressive policies that we've been pushing in New York, by the way, for the last 10, 15 years, got us to a place where it's so unaffordable to live, right? I think a lot of the regulations that have come from the left, the well-meaning, feel-good policies, have created the affordability crisis, have created the housing shortage. And so the fact that these young people think more of that is going to fix the system is so wrong. And then they blame like capitalism.
I think like a really good example of that is when AOC was pushing the no broker fees, the FAIR Act in New York City. Yeah. And the only reason I got flagged about it because a lot of my friends are real estate agents.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey man, this is going on. Do you want to make a video together?
Right.
And I did not know a lot about it,
Right.
but then I read up on it. And even then I could, like from a media perspective, I
Yeah.
can totally understand like how easy it is to sell the no broker fees. Because anytime, like as I have done, getting
Yeah.
an apartment in New York City, when
Yeah.
you write that check for the broker fee,
Yeah.
it's like, what is this? I just
Yeah, it
found my
sucks.
apartment on Zillow. It sucks,
Yeah.
by the way. But of course, the unintended consequence right now is that 15% raise. So
rents.
the rent in Brooklyn got
Right.
higher by 15%.
Of course. Nothing is free.
Yeah.
Like that's what
Especially
people
in
don't
New York City,
understand. It's so hard. And like what happens is like these policies pass, everyone pats themselves on the back. And then like you feel the effects a year, 2 years later. And like all of the energy's gone and they've moved on to a new cause. I mean, in New York, in my original video that went viral, I talked about this 2019 bill that Cuomo actually signed into law, which basically said you couldn't raise rents on rent-controlled apartments past 2% of what the rent was before. But the problem is that these rent-controlled apartments, some of them have had the same occupant since 1970.
Yeah.
So the rent's $400.
And they won't
So
change. Yeah.
it's 408 for in 2025. Like you can't even like turn the lights on, and you have to renovate those apartments, and it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so these landlords are like, I can't even afford to do this. And it bothers me so much because so many of these landlords
Are vilified.
are vilified. They're hardworking people. They might own 2 buildings.
They
That's
live
not
in Jersey.
Yeah, they live in Jersey.
Yeah.
They're first generation immigrants. And what happens is we pass these laws, these regulations, and the first people to get pushed out are going to be the mom and pop shop landlords, and then they do get bought up by a BlackRock.
Yeah.
And then you create the the capitalist
Private equity
that you
cycle.
don't like. And then so it's like your policies are creating the beast because you're pushing out the well-meaning smaller landlords with your regulations.
If you think we had to like track all of this back, do you think all of this goes back to like a media level or an education level for young kids?
So I think the media is something I'm fascinated by because I work in the media, obviously. And I think we have just the nihilism thing you were mentioning before. The Western media mostly has been taken over by like an anti-progress, anti-Western ideology that somehow has seeped in just from like talking about climate change, the one thing that I really know well. The way that they talk about it, if you read the New York Times or you see the Post, it's the most asymmetrical coverage ever where it's always fear, fear, fear. And it's always like trying to tell us that we should be feeling really bad for being modern humans. And so that's just one example of where if you just were to consume mainstream media, the messaging you get about climate change is so alarmism, right? Because you have almost activists in the newsrooms like me who are bought in and they just are like, ooh, this headline, like New York will be underwater in 10 years. Like, perfect, run it. Like, whatever. When the science doesn't even say that. So I think what's happened is that all these newsrooms have activists who are journalists and they don't have time with the 24-hour news cycle, social media, and they're competing with memes to really dig into.
Competing with memes.
They are. So they just push this anti-American, anti-West, anti-progress narrative. And it's like the water that at this point we're swimming in with the media.
I think I'm just going to play devil's advocate, even though I agree 100%
I love a
with you.
devil's advocate moment.
So I think the counter of that is, the Steven Pinker argument, which is that, hey, we are actually doing pretty well. Like no one is dying from like typhoid.
Right.
We all have, it's the new conservative argument, like we have TVs, we have fridges, no one is starving and all of that stuff. Yes, healthcare sucks and all of that.
Right.
But hey guys, like we are net better than we used to be.
I agree with all this so far. This is not devil's advocate yet.
No. But however, the point is that, there's a saying, the worst thing that has happened to you is the worst thing that has happened to you. So if you're not able to afford healthcare, that's pretty much the worst thing that has happened to you. So why the fuck should the young kid like care about America?
Right. I mean,
what is the story we should tell that generation?
Right. I think that historical context is so important, and people for whatever reason have low self-esteem and they can't just be like happy. So they're like so rich and they're like, but other people are suffering.
Comparison, yeah.
And you're like, okay, but like also like maybe appreciate what you have, work hard and like make the world a better place. What I want to articulate to people and like the videos that I make is that, historical context does matter. Like the fact that like, yeah, you don't have healthcare, you're not getting affordable healthcare, that's really hard. But the fact that that is the worst thing that's ever happened to you, like you have so much to be grateful for and like start there versus just looking around at like our society and what so many left people do is just say, we live in late stage capitalism. It's never been this worse. Like the house is on fire. All we can do is rearrange the desk chairs. And it's like, that's not true.
It's so funny because I had to contextualize in a way where I can't even understand that argument because I moved to America 11 years ago, right? And I don't like even talking about it because it's so cliched immigrant story. So like when you move here, all you want to do is work and make it work. Right. So I went like 5 years without healthcare or whatever. But the point being like, that was my reality, but I still don't blame the young kid for being nihilistic because maybe that's his or her reality. So I had to kind of understand this Gen Z energy of like shitting on America in a way which was really, really difficult for me because I don't relate to that, even though I'm that same age demographic. And I was asked by the quote unquote capital L liberal circles to be like, hey, you're an immigrant, you're brown, you're supposed to believe in that way. Like, did you have a version of that in school? Because you talked about the whole thing where, you know, like the POC stuff, you're white, you're a woman. Like, how did that play into your
So
head?
I'm a little bit older. So I'm 35. So I graduated college in 2012. So this stuff was not mainstream when I was in college at all. We were like, just, I don't know, idiots. We
It's college, like it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it was college. We were not like politically aware. Like when Osama bin Laden got killed when I was in college, like we all like celebrated and like drank and partied because we were like 9/11 kids. Like, so that was 2011. And then I feel like with the advent of social media and like Tumblr, I think that this like cultural Marxism ideology, which it sounds like such a weird thing to say, but I truly believe this, of this oppressed mindset, kind of just like left Tumblr, came to social media, and then it was in the minds of my coworkers, and we were all over Slack. And so the groupthink, I said this in one of my videos on my page, it was like groupthink and then Slack, and Slack is like kerosene on a fire. Because you're all of a sudden looking around and being like, what is an appropriate thing to believe? And you quickly learn, like, I'm looking at this oppressive pyramid. I'm going, oh God, I'm like not in a good place on this pyramid. So I better not say anything that would if I disagree on a policy and say, maybe, you know, free college isn't really free and we shouldn't do it. They're like, well, you're a white privileged cis woman. Like, you don't know what you're talking about.
I think I got the structured academic version of that because I was in the school.
Right. So you were a little bit behind me.
I was in school when this was coming up, and this all goes back to the professors, especially media sociology professors, romanticizing all things Frankfurt School and the German European way of kind of deconstructing American capitalism. And that was actually pushed down to us. And I went to school in the UK, so it was even more. And I saw that same thing permeating within American academia.
How's UK doing now?
Not good. Yeah, not good. And I mean, like, I left UK because I was more entrepreneurial and I realized that the roadblocks would be much less. And I also went to school for American politics. So I wanted to work in this line. But in terms of like, how is UK doing now? The cautionary tale is obviously one of immigration, one of trade vis-a-vis Brexit. And I think those are the big two reasons why Trump came in power. From a vibe shift perspective, because when Trump won circa November, the whole conversation around Trump had a bigger coalition of MAGA than he did in 2016, which is now this was younger, more diverse, more Black, Latino, young men, Barstool conservatism, all of that. How do you, like in the timeline, how does Zohran come up there? Because it did not seem like that was kind of in the tarot cards.
I think that Zohran is sort of the liberal foil to Trump. I think he's populist. I mean, I think wasn't Tucker, your old boss, saying like he's the only one who actually cares about America first?
And that goes back to the question about like, which foreign country will you visit? And he's like, I'm going to stay here in New York.
But he is like so, you know, obsessed with Israel and he's so pro-Palestine. And like, that's one of the cornerstones. I'm like, that's not very America first, dog. No. Like, I get, but he appeals to working class people. He's appealing to real hurt. He's appealing to real issues. Like you're saying, the young person who can't get healthcare, but his solutions are so bad. And I think at least with Trump in all of his flaws, he still sticks with that American market first. I mean, some of the things, even Trump, wasn't he proposing like higher taxes on like millionaires? And I don't necessarily agree with that, but I feel like he is Trump, but I think his vision for the economy is more what we're used to.
Yeah.
And then but it's populist where it's like no tax on tips and things like that. But I'd rather see tax breaks than more government spending and more government control. And by the way, all these young people, they hate the government.
Yeah.
Why are they trying to give the government
That's
more
irony,
power?
right? Yeah.
That's what I don't get. And that's why I'm like, they can't actually like finish their point to the logical conclusion.
I think
it's emotional.
To put color on that, I think what you're saying is that they've always said that, hey, we hate the government. The government should be as bloated as it is. But at the same time, you are bringing people who are socialists, and
Right.
socialism or communism does not work with a smaller government.
Right.
And that's the irony there.
And who are these people who are going to enact your dream? Like, you don't like the government workers. And then what about happens in 4 years when it's a different person in power? And then who's running your grocery store? Like, I mean, New York City has a $112 billion budget. And like 40% of fourth graders can't read at grade level.
That's concerning.
So I made a post about that on my TikTok. I was like, what do you think is going to change, guys? And they're like, we just haven't tried it well enough.
That's always the case, isn't it?
It's always the case. But like, I just keep coming back to like, we need entrepreneurial, high achieving, hardworking people to thrive. And we need choice. And that is not what Mamdani is promising. It's more centralized control. It's taking away from the highest earners, punishing them for succeeding, and then giving it to a government that is a bloated bureaucracy that doesn't work.
I genuinely want a healthy, liberal Democratic Party, especially as someone who used to be liberal.
Yeah.
And I was stoked to see all things Ezra Klein, Derek Thompson, abundance talk.
Yeah.
And that kind of sort of got hamstrung, and people started saying that, hey, this is neoliberal coded, and this is only—
They love their keywords.
This only belongs to the K Street DNC consulting class. This won't work in the grassroots. And there was polling done, which was asking younger Democrats, progressives, what have you, that, hey, do you like this abundance talk of, hey, we need to build more and actually have less regulations so that New York City can actually build more? Like, it's kind of ironic that Texas is the place where YIMBYism thrives and not New York. So
and Miami.
Like, what the fuck is going on there?
Like Tennessee.
And Nashville, Tennessee, Austin. So what's going on? Why are people leaving blue states? I'm like, holy shit, that's a good conversation.
Yeah.
For the first time in the last 6 years, the Democrats are not talking about orange man bad stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So the puck was starting to go there, and all of a sudden you see this populist wing coming in, and I get the concerns of it, but it kind of like took the wind out of the sails.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think, I'm collecting my thoughts on that. Like, I feel like the Democratic Party on the left, the elites have a relating to the everyday man problem that Trump is really good at. Like, Trump is good at the like shaking hands and kissing babies and going to McDonald's photo shoot, the truck photo shoot. And he has really taken the populist energy, I think. I also think that Mamdani has gotten that, but it's also a lot of the college educated, like liberal elites, like a demographic that I'm from, that is the real pusher of him. It's because like I think Cuomo won the working class.
He did. Cuomo won the lowest earners and the highest earners, which is kind of like a Gotham situation.
But I wonder what will happen when it gets to like the entire voting block.
I think that's the much more like nuanced question here, because all of this does not work at scale. Like, it definitely does not work at scale of these United States.
No.
But it probably—
Mamdani will hopefully never have a national audience.
But I'm also saying that like when you go to as wide as like the general election in New York, does it work?
I mean, but the thing is, he's so charming and he has a smile and he has a good, the vibe. And some people are like, I just like him. Yeah. It's why people voted for AOC and Trump. Yeah. Because they both have that spark.
Vibes. Yeah.
And even Trump has like said that about AOC in the past. He'll be like, charming. She's got a spark. Because like, he's like, game represents like, game respects game. Yeah, game respects game. He's like, there's something about her. Game, yeah. And also I will say, I actually really like AOC. I think, I don't like to see her like characterized in the press as like some idiot. Like, I actually think her heart's in the right place. Smart. Yeah. Really smart. And I think her heart is totally in the right place. I just think that her policies aren't good ideas.
I think regarding the populist aspect, from a branding perspective, the right has tried to push this protectionist aspect. Yeah. That, hey, like for America to thrive, we need to protect America from immigration and bad trade, which is tariffs. On the left, the version of populism is not protectionism, it's redistribution.
Right.
And
yeah, that's so true.
like, where do you think this energy goes? Because it seems like, and this, I might be 100% wrong, it seems like the under 40 demo of the most like normal American who makes 55,000, I guess, like they fall on either one of these two camps politically.
Yeah, I'm not a political scientist to know. I both concern me.
Yeah.
I think the protectionist stuff, I mean, when the tariffs were rolling out, I was very freaked out by that. They've kind of ended up not being as big of a deal as I thought. Because
it's the whole taco Trump thing, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's all baked
Taco.
in. Yeah.
And the market's like higher than it's ever been. I'm like, wait, my 401k looks sick. So, I mean, I just keep coming back to like less government in our lives.
Yeah.
And I think that if I was ever going to like run for office, I would like think, because I've had like 2 comments like, would you run for office? And I'm like, wait.
Would you?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
I would. Maybe. Like, I by the way, I live in Connecticut. You know that, right?
Yeah.
I'm not even like a New Yorker.
Oh, you're a
I work in
commuter?
New York.
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, I have 2 kids.
Yeah.
I live in the suburbs.
That's fair,
so like that's a really good like way to attack me.
Yeah.
You don't even live in New York. I work in New York, but I live in the suburbs. Maybe I would in like Connecticut or something on like the state level, because I feel like what I would do is I would go to this school and I would find the good people and I would say, what needs to change? How can we make your life easier and your job better? Like, you know, you find the people that are smart and you just empower them to come up with a plan to make the change that would make the teachers' lives better, the outcomes of the kids, students better, whatever. I feel like there's so much top down, and I think we need to listen to the smart people who want to make change, because every institution has smart people within it who are frustrated. And I think empowering individuals to act from a place kind of past our 2-party system. I think it's a sort of outdated, relegated system. What is the new form of this? And it's like, I don't know, empowering smart people to get the impact that we want. We all want the same thing, right? Better student grades, like, or lower cost of living, whatever it is. And I think with like Trump, when they did DOGE, it was like doing it with a sledgehammer. It was so like not graceful.
Yeah, it was a bull in a china shop.
Yeah,
like,
and like I thought the spirit of it was in the right place, but then I was disappointed. You hear some of these stories and you're like, oh God, these weird kids being like, you have to be turned in the office. People are like, there are not enough desks in the office.
Yeah, like trust me, like my sister works in DC. I go back to DC every second weekend. It was brutal. Like the house, like, okay, so not to caricature it, the whole DOGE of it made a lot of sense, and people in the libertarian circles got stoked because, hey,
yeah,
why like DC does not have like a quote unquote industry? Why are all these suburbs like Chevy Chase, Georgetown the most expensive zip codes in not just Northeast but probably in America? Like, what is going on there? And this is the consulting class of Washington DC, and they make shit ton of money. What is going on there?
Yeah. And
there was like no transparency. They're like, let's bring some transparency. And then Elon did what he has done forever, which is move fast and break things.
Yeah.
And that shit works in like quote unquote entrepreneurial tech Silicon Valley circles. But in government, a lot of times things are kind of held by duct tape and glue.
Yeah,
if you shake it, you have no idea what exactly you're shaking.
Yeah.
And the nth order consequence, like Texas right now, what happened? I mean, we don't know yet, but probably some of that could have been prevented.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it, like the flooding you're saying?
The flooding, I'm saying.
No, because I looked into that a lot because that's sort of my wheelhouse, and nothing was cut in time.
In the FEMA zone?
No. And also the Weather Channel had enough people. The fact of the matter is that was a flood zone that they knew was there. So I feel like the fact that the people, like, I mean, the camps are the biggest thing, obviously, that people talk about. The fact that like they didn't move the kids to higher ground, it was just like
a failure on the
ground. Like they got the warnings, even just like because kids in the different parts of the camp are fine.
Yeah.
It takes 5 minutes to go from one side of camp to another. Yeah. Maybe 10. And I don't know, that was a shitty situation.
Staying on the climate change, what do you think is like the grassroots vibe right now? Because a lot of my friends who are in the right of center climate change world, American Conservation Coalition, Nature is Nonpartisan, and there's this huge push right now to make climate conversations like quote unquote bipartisan and away from the Greta Thunberg of it all.
Greta.
What do you think is
she's been hijacked?
I know. Like, why was she in Gaza? I don't know. Like,
dude, it's the Omni cause. What will be next?
Like why are you there? Like, that's not your cause.
Because they just want to go from one thing to the next. It's really sad.
It goes back to the
I met her, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I interviewed her. She was like 15, and she was a nice Swedish girl, right?
Yeah, Nordic,
she's very, she's like a little bit on the spectrum. She was sort of calm and like, but I don't know if it was like European or on the spectrum. She didn't say a lot. I wanted her to like me. I was like, hey. And she's like, hello. And I was like, fuck. Okay. No, so
the grassroots climate
yeah,
energy.
so I was in the climate movement for 6 years. I was working at Now This, but I covered the climate movement like a mouthpiece for it. So I'm on my TikTok, I make videos and I'm like, I was a climate activist, but I was really like a climate reporter, but I was fully bought in. And I know there's a lot of people working in the day-to-day a lot more. What I talk about a lot is the mindset of when you're in the climate movement, you have climate anxiety and you think the world's going to end in 10 years.
What is climate anxiety?
Climate anxiety is that you think the world's going to end in 10 years because of climate change. Or you have anxiety because you used a plastic straw. Or you have anxiety because you're filling your car up with gas. You have anxiety basically for like using modern infrastructure and like taking advantage of being a modern human. And so you feel a lot of guilt and shame. It's this like theme going back to the word I couldn't say. Yeah. It's like almost like original sin where you're like, I'm a modern human and like I have a gas in my car and I have AC. Like I'm a piece of shit.
It's kind of like the white guilt.
Yeah, it's white guilt. I have that.
Yeah, at scale.
White guilt, you know, modern human guilt, climate guilt. So I don't know. I'm not as involved. I know you've had like Benji Backer on. He's like really into the policy. I think that I look up to people like Bjorn Lomborg. Do you know who he is?
Yeah.
He's a climate writer. Michael Schellenberger, people who write more moderately on this. And I think like a lot of the themes that we're talking about, the fear around the reporting on this is such a disservice. And frankly, I'm not a big believer in solar and wind. If you look at the economics of it and how much space it requires, it's a huge dependency on China. There's a huge waste issue and the wind does not always blow and the sun does not always shine. So
what is the story around climate which is more sane in a way where that, hey, Americans should actually give a shit about the land and all of this.
Yeah.
But also the earth is not ending tomorrow.
Right. I think that the sane take is a Bjorn Lomborg quote. It's like living with a chronic disease like diabetes where you can manage the symptoms and it's not going to kill you. So for the next another 100 years, we'll probably see like a foot of sea level rise, but we saw a foot of sea level rise the last 150 years. And like 110 million people right now live under sea level at high tide. But we are able to, they're fine because we have seawalls, we have levees. And so humans are very adaptable. We've always adapted to the climate. And so I think we're going to continue to adapt. I don't think fossil fuels are going anywhere. They're 80% of the energy mix that we use. And I know people are always like solar and wind are about to surpass them, but like the economics, the physics aren't there.
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. So we need research and development. Like that's where I come down on it. We need research and development for new technologies that we maybe have not even discovered yet, or someone in a lab is discovering it right now. That's carbon free, that we could actually proliferate and replace fossil fuels. And maybe that would happen in our lifetimes. But regardless, like we're going to be fine because we are going to figure it out through technology advances like we always did. Like we used to light kerosene lamps with whale blubber. Like we used to ride horse and buggies. Like I think we're going to be fine.
I think that story of progress doesn't get told enough.
And that's what the progressives hate.
Yeah.
Can I give a shout out to the Free Press where I work?
Of course. Oh my God.
Free Press.
First of all, I'm a fan.
Okay.
Yeah.
FP.com. TheFP.com.
Yeah.
Founded by Barry Weiss. We had this awesome piece today by Roy Texera. Do you know who he is?
No.
He's sort of like an old school lefty. He's probably like in his 60s and he like calls out the left, but he's like still on the left.
Yeah.
And he says, he had this really great piece called Progressives Are Not for Progress. And he goes through how they on like merit and colorblindness, like they used to have, and like in the mid-century 1950s and 60s, it was like, we want to be in a colorblind society. So you're not judged on the basis of your race and you're judged on the merit of your character. And now it's all about race. You have to be an anti-racist or you're racist. And he goes through like freedom of speech. What are the other ones? But, and a really good point at the end of the piece was about how the progressives are so anti-technology. They're like techno-pessimists all of a sudden. And if you say, well, we'll figure it out with innovation and technology, they're like, no, we won't.
Because that means that you're buying into the system. And
you're buying into capitalism and in industry.
My friend Emily Jashinsky said this really well, which is for progressives, if you are anti, quote unquote, the LGBT movement or anti Black Lives Matter movement, you're not just like disagreeing with them, you're a bigot. Mm-hmm. It's the progressive bigot binary. Mm-hmm. Like you are either one. You can't like just politely disagree with them. Like, hey, like I don't have any issue with homosexuality per se, but this movement, there's like something weird going on here.
Transgender kid transitioning or something.
No one has any issues with like I'm hoping good people are not racist, but BLM as a movement, capital B, capital L, capital M, as a movement
is like corrupt.
Is a corrupt movement.
Yeah.
And I can't say that without having the bigot level label on me. I think that's the albatross around progressives right now.
Oh yeah, and that's why so many people have left the left. Like I was the biggest leftist ever, and I don't think my ideologies now are that so crazy. But like just even calling out that, you know, socialism isn't a good idea, I'm getting like unfollows and blocks and people telling me that I'm a piece of shit, basically.
What do you think that reaction is right now?
I think it's really emotional. I think people are really hijacked and jacked up on fear. I think like it's Trump derangement syndrome. So if you're not calling out Trump, you are supporting Trump. Like some of the comments when I said in my piece in the Free Press was, you know, I used to support AOC and I know the fantasy that Mamdani is selling. Or like, I don't buy the fantasy, whatever, the Mamdani is selling. And I just got comments being like, Trump just took away healthcare for 17 million people and he's supporting a genocide. Like, you're a genocide supporter. Like, why aren't you calling that out? And you're like, I don't know, because like I wanted to talk about this. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, like I can't be on every omni cause that's fashionable of the moment. And like, I don't feel the need to talk about that. This is my story and I'm the expert on my story. And this is what I feel the need to speak on. And nothing that, even in my piece, I was like, let's extend grace to these young people because they really don't realize what they're voting for and that socialism is civilization ending ideas. They really don't understand that. I think that's a pretty like generous take that you would not hear from a lot of people on the right. They're going to say that they're awful people.
I think another version of that generous take, and I have to extend that because a lot of these are like my literal friends who are on the left, is that once again, it's the all things affordability cause. And it is true that these people are struggling the whole ethos of like 1 person income, you can afford a house, get married, kids and all of that. That version maybe doesn't exist.
Right.
And maybe that's a reality you have to contend with without assigning blame to a political side. Maybe it's what has happened with capitalism and NATO and all of this stuff. I'm not saying I'm smart enough to solve that, but I'm just saying that you can talk about it without losing your shit.
I totally agree.
And from the young people of it all, what do you think is the choice in front of them politically? Because right now, both sides are kind of sort of saying, fuck you to the establishment.
Yeah.
The Republican side was forced to contend with the establishment because of Trump.
Yeah.
The left right now is getting some version of that in a very, very, very small scale with Zohran.
Yeah. I mean, it's really hard. I think that's one of the reasons why I've decided to speak out and to become more public person after sitting on a lot of these ideas for 5 years, because I was like, wait, where are the normal people? I think that the left has been hijacked by this fear and anti-American, anti-Western, anti-progress ideology. And like you just said earlier, like I want a healthy Democratic Party.
Yeah.
I think that the conservatives at this point, what they've done really well and why they won over that coalition is they are unapologetically pro-America. And they're telling a lot of people who've been told for a long time, you should feel like shit. They're saying, no, be proud.
I liked your piece on it, actually. Like the MAGA coalition.
The vibe shift?
No, the vibe shift and the coalition piece. Like how MAGA built a coalition. Because that's one of the things which I was obsessed about.
Yeah. RFK, Tulsi, Elon.
Not just that, because that's like, that sounds very DC. But if I like scale out to like New York, a lot of times, and sorry to mention Connecticut right now, but a lot of my quote unquote Greenwich, Connecticut private equity type friends who were all things a yard away from touching a MAGA hat, they were finally like, okay, I've always been like this. I guess now it's finally okay for me to say this.
Right.
And that whole class of tech and media
and
like finance, Bill Ackman, David Sachs, I never seen that whole group of people round up behind an idea and coming out of the closet per se in a different way, like ever before.
Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, it was very good politics.
It was
getting
great
RFK
politics.
to endorse him was like so fucking genius.
And Tulsi.
And it's interesting now because everyone's like, the coalition's falling apart, his approval is with this or that. But I was like, but you know what? The alternative is such shit that I don't think people care.
Coalition building is hard, but running government is way harder. And because like they had to win it somehow. And they won it. And right now they're kind of obviously going through the actual muddy water. Like,
and everyone's not going to agree. But you know what? I think that's good. We shouldn't all agree.
No, that's good.
Yeah, I think it was a very interesting time. And then now it's like the rubber hits the road and there's a reality. Like I feel like even when like Trump got elected, I was like, oh, I'm excited about like DOGE and Elon. And then like the reality hits and I'm like, oh, Elon is an asshole. I forgot.
Yeah, he's also weird. He's like a tech genius.
Like he's a weirdo.
He thinks like that.
He like needs to touch grass. He's like, guys, I'm starting a party. And he like does one poll. And of course, like 90% of people on X are like, I'll vote for it. It's like, those are bots and like big losers.
What do you think of the America Party?
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, that's what
I think it's stupid. It's because he's like doing a poll on TikTok. It's not real life. I mean, not TikTok, sorry.
Twitter.
He's doing a poll on Twitter.
X. Yeah.
On X.
Yeah.
He's doing a poll on X. It's not real life. It's always biased.
I think that's like the touch grass of it all. Because like Elon has always existed in the tech circles.
Yeah.
And that is a very different circle from the Mississippi voter.
Yeah. And social media breaks your brain a little bit. You get, your algorithm feeds you back that everybody agrees with you. And then you look at the actual polling, like even with like international relations stuff and like Iran and like, it's like, oh, 85% of like Republicans supported like the bombing of Iran's nuclear facility. But like online, the loudest voices were like super against it. And it's just not, we should know by now that like the internet is not an accurate sample.
Descriptor.
Yeah.
From the internet point of view, this is like a genius Marshall McLuhan quote, which I keep going back to, which is the medium is the message. Like the medium matters as much as the message matters. Like how you're giving your content matters a lot more than what the content is, which is why people like Zohran crush online discourse, because they can speak the grammar of vertical videos while Cuomo was spending God knows how much on TV ads. What do you think like of the media difference of how the establishment is operating and how the incumbent is?
I mean, I think you just said it all perfectly. You summed it up.
No, but you have worked in the space for a while right now. So like I want someone's wisdom in that sense.
Someone who's smart, who's in it. I think it's so interesting. There's so much emphasis on clips right now and personalities. I actually said on my TikTok yesterday, another thing I'm boosting my TikTok. I was like, wait, I'd never think of myself as a good writer, but I'm a great yapper. And now with AI, anyone can fake writing. But you cannot fake yapping. So my stock is rising, is all I'm going to say. This is not AI, people.
I think to that point, I think a really bad takeaway from the political class can be, hey, as long as you're making vertical videos, it's good.
Yeah.
To the politicians.
Yeah. No, it needs to be real.
You also need to be good about what are you politics you're talking about. That obviously exists within like our friends, like the journalism class. A lot of people think that it's just about videos. No. You actually also have to know what it is.
You have to communicate in a way that's relatable to the everyday person. It's funny because I've had random people message me and be like, oh, I'm running for office. Could you give me advice? Because I'm like, I helped AOC go viral back in the day. And I've like taken a few calls just like to be like, what are you doing? And, you know, I try to say to them, I'm like, you need to say like, your campaign is for people, working people. You know, like if you work hard, that's the coalition, right? Yeah. Like that could be a message that someone could take that would counter Zohran. But for whatever reason, like they haven't, I feel like the sort of libertarian, small C conservative movement and political leaders have not figured out how to message, and it should emerge. I feel like there's definitely like a feeling there that like there's something there.
I think that disconnect, especially in the Republican circles, is a stark one, especially generational.
Yeah.
Like the whole Ben Shapiro, Cato Institute, libertarian way of thinking. A lot of young people are like vehemently like rejecting that.
Yeah.
Because of the quote unquote new right, the Tucker right, and all of that. What do you think the future of that coalition is right now?
I mean, I think it needs to be like immigrant business owners, first generation Americans, like children of immigrants. I think it needs to be small business owners, and then all the way up to obviously like millionaire, billionaire, very successful people, but basically people who like have mortgages and work.
Have a stake.
Yeah. And the people who are like the law-abiding citizens who are making the engine of this country, that needs to be the coalition. And we need to stop vilifying business and realize like business is like a business completely supports my family. Like we have jobs. Like I had a conversation with someone the other day who's younger, and she's like, well, yeah, as long as when you're successful, you give back. And I'm like,
First of all, having a business is kind of sort of
giving back.
Yeah, because you're hiring people.
Yeah, and like, don't you think the 50 people that my boss pays our bills for is giving back. Why are we like putting this premium on charity when like
also most of the charities just a write-off, so
charity also is like full of shit.
Yeah.
Like now that we've done so much reporting on this in the Free Press, like NGOs are the biggest racket.
Yeah.
The stuff that Biden put out the door in like the last few months of his presidency, like he gave like $6 billion to Stacey Abrams for like green initiatives.
What's she up to these days? She's just like hanging
Putting
out in
like
Georgia?
electric stoves in like one house for $6 billion. I think it was $6 billion, maybe it was $3 billion. You can fact check me, but it was billions.
But the point still stays that young
but I'm
people
like,
have
wait,
this
should I
version.
go into nonprofit? I'm like,
There's
I
a
got
lot
an
of
idea.
money. There's a lot of money. Trust me. Like especially,
But it's like it literally pads your wallet, makes you feel good. But like business is what actually creates change.
it's scalable too. Charity is not scalable.
Yeah, and you need to have some sort of profit model to make it your job good.
Also, you said the immigrant stuff. I was thinking about this because there is something to the point where a lot of these second generation immigrants,
Yeah.
AOC's parents came here from
Yeah.
somewhere else. Zohran's parents came here from somewhere else. Kamala's parents. These are all second generation immigrants who have this version of America, which is leftist and tilted and Marxist, if you ask me.
Yeah, I agree.
Is there something to that?
Yeah, I don't know why. It's like every system that your parents
Escape from.
you're now trying to bring here, and everything that built you up, you're vilifying. And it's like swimming in the privileged waters of capitalism and then wanting to fix it. It's like, it's just a lot of leftists, and I was like this too, it's like you want a utopia. You think that if we just spend a little bit more and in one day there'll be a utopia, there will be no poverty, there will be no inequality. And it's like, we live in the real world, right? Like in nature, it's not like kumbaya. Like there's animals are hunting other animals. There's
survival.
Death. Yeah, there's survival. Like ultimately, I feel like a lot of leftists, they lead with their hearts and they say, I want the world to be less hard. And like, so I'm going to just want to give away all my money for the world to be less hard. But that's not how the world works.
Also, that single thought is a privileged thought.
Yeah.
Like you can only have that thought if the bills are paid and there's food on the table.
Like your hierarchy of needs.
And the hierarchy of Maslow's hierarchy.
Yeah.
Like your parents moved here from Zambia and made sure that you can survive.
And you have time to think.
And now you have time, money, energy, and an iPhone to tweet about these thoughts.
I have to say too, like when you're on the left like that, it's so exhausting to be such a hypocrite. Like now I'm like, yes, I am privileged. Thank you.
Yeah.
I am. I'm so lucky. The system works.
Yeah, the
and
system worked and my parents worked hard and I am like, what else are my parents supposed to do? Like I'm
not
working,
work hard.
Like I literally have this fight with my girlfriend all the time about this. Is like, why do you think I'm working hard right now? So my kids can
have a lot of stuff.
My kid can be a dipshit Murray Hill guy. And I live in Murray Hill and I know what exactly their archetype is. So, and there's no shame in that. If it's bad if you don't recognize what that is and you don't recognize what America is and how it creates this level of privilege.
Right.
And it's not something to be guilty about.
And this goes back to my theme of everyone's living with so much guilt and shame. And it's like, you have to just like own it. I respect someone so much more when they actually accept who they are.
Yeah.
Be like, yeah, I'm not a Nepo baby, but if I'm like, yeah, I'm a privileged Nepo baby, like I'm lucky and I'm also working really hard and X, Y, and Z. It's like, I love that so much more than me like, no, but like, you don't understand. Like, it's actually, I have a lot of talent. It's like, why are you trying to prove yourself? Just like live your life, be happy with what you were given, be grateful, and like work hard. And I think that's lost, unfortunately, on a lot of people.
This weekend, every second weekend in summer, we try to get out in the water and surf.
Yeah.
In the Hamptons. And there's like two group of people in the Hamptons.
Yeah.
The one I hang out with are the hippies and the surfers, and they're always by the water. And then there are the people from Connecticut or New York who are in the surf lodge.
Connecticut wouldn't be going to the Hamptons. But it's New Yorkers.
It's a lot of New Yorkers. But like there's an archetypical difference of that group of people and the surfers who I hang out with. And usually the surfers are kind of like zen.
Yeah.
And they get what they're happening. And when I talk to like that other group of people, there's so much guilt. Like you guys are literally in one of the most expensive zip code right now, spending God knows how much for a glass of beer.
Yes.
And just do that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, just appreciate it. Chill out.
Yeah, chill. Oh my God, I lived with that for so many years. So much guilt. And I feel
what was that like? What was that guilt? Can you just like verbalize that guilt?
Yeah, like I just felt a lot of guilt for not having suffering and having opportunities when other people in the world didn't. And you just sort of live of a place of disempowering yourself and denying yourself because your energy sort of like diffused out over the globe. Like you just feel so bad. And I think you can't really make change from that place that's really going to work. And I think I had to finally, probably having kids and being like, do I want them to have guilt for being alive and using a plastic straw or whatever? Like, obviously not. And so I just had at a certain point, you have to sort of choose yourself and you have to let go of the guilt. Like, the guilt's a dead end. So yeah, I definitely live with that. And I think that's where a lot of people who are in the left live with that mindset. And it's a motivation for them.
Would you say having kids was the moment which checked you out of it?
It was such a slow evolution. I feel like it was sort of just a coming home to my truth. I have to say, working at the Free Press, FB.com, was huge for me because I was finally in a place where it was okay to actually listen to my internal voice and my own thoughts and not just constantly be trying to seek approval from the group. And that was when I was able to be like, maybe I actually do have some conservative opinions. Like, that doesn't make me a bad person. And I want small government or more personal choice and more personal options. And I don't think big government is the solution. And it was like a coming home. And I lived so many years in groupthink. So I didn't even know what I believed. I just knew what the group wanted me to say. So that's what I said.
Do you think right now the media ecosystem is still, like, that side of the media ecosystem is still strong and pushing that? Because I can very easily make this argument that how Trump V2 kind of felt different than Trump V1 in a way where people were like, okay, yeah, we kind of saw it coming.
Yeah.
Like, I was there in DC when Trump won the first time. It kind of felt like, knock on wood, like 9/11. Like, the city was quiet. Nothing. It was, what the fuck just happened? And this time around, people were like, okay, yeah, the country was shifting this way. This was happening. Better. What do you think the landscape is of like that line of thought in like popular discourse?
Yeah, I think it's definitely gotten better. I think there's a lot of people who are, like you said, coming out of the ideological closet or even like not getting canceled for having their beliefs, or a lot of people realizing like, oh my gosh, he won the popular vote. Yeah. So it's like over half the people voted for him. So I think a lot of people, if you're normal and not totally ideologically captured, you have to go, oh, okay, so people that I know voted for him. And so like, I need to chill out. But I do think our media is still living in this very anti-West, anti-American takes. I even think the way that like they cover like Israel-Palestine, I feel like it's always fucking going after Israel. Every single thing I think is so harsh. And it's this bias where it's like, oh my God, this one thing happened. It's like, obviously, and more bad things happen, but I'm like, you realize Hamas is a terrorist organization and you're not giving it any scrutiny. And I think that is a sign of that same mentality that seeped in, where the people in that newsroom, they just want to make Israel look really, really bad versus looking at the greater context, which I think would be more accurate and would be good for everybody.
From the anti-West perspective, where do you think that comes from? Because what you're saying right now is a lot of media and academia class feels incentivized that our job is to make sure that we scrutinize America as much as possible.
Exactly.
Because America, on the totem scale of oppressor versus oppressed, America is the oppressed. Sorry, oppressor. America has been the oppressor. The West has been the colonizer. So they deserve the scrutiny, because only and only if you have power, you can be mean. Yeah. Like, it's never the case that the little guy can do something wrong. Right. Where do you think that leads to?
I think it leads nowhere good. That's why we have to have more rational conversations, and a big part of why I started to speak out, and I think why Barry started our company, because it leads to this nihilism. We see versions of it on the left and the right now, with the idea that like in history there are no good guys. Yeah. You know, it's like, no, Churchill was actually shit because he didn't accept this peace offering that maybe would have saved lives. It's like, but actually like Hitler was really bad. Yeah. And like, I think that Iran, like the government of Iran right now is really bad. Like women don't have rights. Like, it's really bad. And obviously America, we are not perfect. We are flawed. We know our history. And I think we should acknowledge that. And we have acknowledged that. Don't you think we've acknowledged it? But we're stuck in it. We can't get out of this guilt spiral.
You mentioned Churchill. It's so fascinating because the place in India where my parents were born, that place is called like West Bengal. It's in the west of India, and a lot of the grains, and basically there was a point in history where Churchill had to choose where to ship this food from India, and they basically took the food away from India to feed the English soldiers who were going to fight in France, in Germany. and that resulted in mass famine in the place where my parents were born, and like millions of people like died.
Wow.
Right. So I was having this debate with someone in my like extended family, like Churchill, good guy, bad guy, and all of that stuff. It's like, okay, that was bad. That was horrible. And I will obviously tell my kids about that because that's part of my heritage and that happened. And that's a horrible thing. However, if you scale out and if you're telling the binary story,
right.
Well, Churchill was fighting this crazy guy called Hitler.
Yeah.
And if that would not have gone the way it did, the world would look very, very different right now. So what is the story you tell out of these very, very flawed people and their stories? That is so important.
Right.
And my whole thing is that we are telling the wrong story.
I totally agree. And we're forgetting our values and what makes America great. And I think we have this postmodern ideology, which is sort of the same thing that's permeated everything, where it's like, there is no greatness, there is no exceptionalism, but it's like America actually is so exceptional in just how racially diverse we are, how much opportunity there is. Like you said, you come here as an immigrant, you're like, I just want to work. Like I'm going to be in a system that actually works, rewards you for hard work. That does not exist in so many other countries. And I think the people in this country who hate it so much, they're swimming in their privilege. They have no idea how the other world works. They probably have not traveled and seen other countries.
That's the main thing, perspective.
They have no perspective. And we did an article that was called like, We Live Like Kings. And it was, I forgot who wrote it, but they basically were saying how now if you're in the middle class, you could go to a destination wedding in Turks and Caicos and have an entirely catered lunch and a 5-tier cake.
Sounds
and
good.
You're in air conditioning and everyone's wearing new dresses that they bought online. And it's like, this is middle class. Like maybe it's a splurge, but like
kings used to live like this.
They didn't even used to live like this. Like now you can be like a normal person and your quality of life is better than a king. And I posted this on my Instagram story and someone messaged me who also was like really wealthy, which was funny. And she was like, well, what's the point of this? Because like, what are you saying? That we just shouldn't care about the problems of today? This seems very dismissive of today's problems. And I'm like, I'm just saying like, it's okay to be grateful. Yeah. Like, why are you saying, because I'm saying we have it so good that I'm also saying we have no problems? I never said that. I'm just saying, hey, we got it pretty good.
My last question to you is that you could have very easily gone without having to write the story because correct me if I'm wrong, like your primary craft is not to write.
Yeah, I don't write,
Why did you feel compelled to write this?
So the AOC Mamdani piece, I did a rant in my car. It started with a viral video that I did in my car. And I had been posting on my TikTok for a month, kind of getting my feet wet. I'm posting about some of how my ideas had changed, and it's sort of been an incubator for me for a month. That had started around Memorial Day. And then I had been waiting, like, what would be the video that I would post on my Instagram? And then this... Because
that's the one you have to like carefully pick,
Yes, because all my friends are there, former activists. It's like scary out there. And so I have like a lot of like faith or like internal dialogue with myself where I'll be like, I want a sign, or like, give me like an idea. You know, I feel like, I don't know if creative people are like that. So I kind of go to sleep at night and be like, what will I make tomorrow? And I'm like, you know, and usually when I'm going to sleep, the ideas will come in. And I had the idea for the video because it started to be talked about. He had just won and it was the parallels of the AOC. And I was like, oh my God, I can talk about this. Like I was so excited when AOC ran. I helped AOC win. So I just like one-taked it in my car. And then it started going viral. And then Barry was like, oh my God, this is awesome. And I had like shared it in our company Slack and was like, will you write something? So I wrote like a version of it, just basically the story for the Free Press, which has also gone really viral. It has like 700,000 views.
I read that
on
before I
Instagram.
watched that video.
Oh, okay. So the video was the start. Bill Ackman retweeted it.
Yeah, awesome.
I've made it. And then people are like, wow, your alt-right pipeline's really begun. Like Bill Ackman. I'm like, okay, thanks. And so I just feel like I was inspired to speak it because I was already on this kick of like, I'm going to speak my internal truth. I'm going to bring my voice out to the public. And so just the timing of everything. And that's why. And it was not even, I had not been talking about politics at all. I've been talking about climate activism and how I left the climate movement. So it was pretty crazy actually that went so viral because I was like, wait, now do I have to talk about like
everything?
I was like, what else do you need to know? I was like, capitalism's great. I was like, guys, I am an expert on my own story. That's all I can say. And like, I have my opinions, but I'm not an economist. But I think we all know that socialism does not work.
It's a great way to end it, Lucy. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.